Hello, and welcome back to another Defying the Stars Tarot and Astrology Pick-a-Deck reading. For this week's reading, we are going to be focusing on the question, what do they think of you? And with this question, I want it to be open to all different types and kinds of relationships. So this could be what a potential partner thinks of you, someone that you've got a crush on. It could be what a job interviewer thought of you at your interview. It could be what a family member is thinking about you after you had a big fight or something like that. So, whatever your situation may be, if you're wondering, looking for some insight into what another person is thinking about you right now, this is the reading for you. So, as usual, we have 4 decks to choose from. Deck number 1 is our Modern Witch Tarot. Deck number 2 is the Dali Tarot deck. Deck number 3 is the Skyrim Tarot deck. And deck number 4 is Grimalkin's Curious Cats Tarot. If you've been watching this channel, you've seen all of these decks before. I chose these today because I wanted to focus only on traditional tarot decks. So these are the ones I came up with. If you have certain decks that you like better than others, I'd love for you to tell me in the comments. Give me an idea of which ones I should use the most. But with that said, I'm going to go ahead and dive in. Timestamps for each reading are listed below. Go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath. As you let that deep breath out and open your eyes, focus on the deck that's calling to you first, and go ahead and jump to that timestamp, and I'll see you for your reading. Welcome to the reading for deck number 1, the Modern Witch Tarot. I've gone ahead and pre-shuffled, so we will go ahead and cut this deck and jump into our reading. As usual, I will be giving 3 cards to start with, and then we'll go from there. So we have Justice, the 10 of Pentacles reversed, and the 6 of Swords reversed. Very interesting. So in terms of the question of what are they thinking about you, the immediate read I get on this is that they're thinking you got what was coming to you. The Justice card is one of the more self-explanatory cards in the deck. It is about justice, karma, consequences for actions. If, it doesn't have to be a negative thing. Justice isn't always negative. Sometimes justice means somebody else in your life got what was coming to them, and you came out on top. Sometimes justice means you got rewarded for something good that you did. In this case, it could go either way. I think when we get to the other cards, that might lay it out a little clearer. But for this first card, what I'm getting is whatever this person is thinking about you, they're thinking that whatever has happened to you recently or has happened in your relationship with this person recently was just and fair. The next card, the 10 of Pentacles reversed. The 10 of Pentacles is a card of really, really deep and long-lasting material stability. It doesn't have to mean material wealth, like you're just loaded, but it can lean in that direction. But what it means is when it's upright is that you're in a position, or in this case of the context of this reading, you appear to somebody else in a position of kind of having it all. And with the card reversed, the perception may be that you have had a bit of a downfall. You have had a hardship, a setback. something has taken you from a position of real material stability, a position of, practicality and having all of your ducks in a row, into a situation where things are a little less certain, a little more chaotic, a little less dependable. And with the Six of Swords reversed, what we see here is that this person is considering whether it is time to cut ties or not. With the Six of Swords upright is a card of walking away, of cutting ties with the past, of saying goodbye to something that no longer serves you. It is a card of sixes are always a card of harmony and balance. But when you get something as harsh as the swords, what that may mean is cutting something from your life to restore that harmony or balance. With the card reversed, I sense that the decision hasn't been fully made yet. There's some hesitation. There's a question of whether to walk away or try again. In this scenario, what I'm getting is that whoever this person is that you're thinking of is perceiving you as having, this could go two ways, because they could be perceiving you as having gotten what you deserved in terms of, the hardship or setback is something you're experiencing and they think that you deserve that. But it could also be that they are feeling like you may have caused them the setback, and it it may in fact be justified and they may be aware of that, but they're struggling with trying to figure out if this is something to a relationship to continue pursuing or something to walk away from. I think this is a great reading to get a little more clarity on, so I'm going to draw a few more cards. In terms of justice, I wonder if the deck can tell me who is the recipient of the justice. Where is the justice being done? Okay, so we have here the Knight of Pentacles reversed. The Knight of Pentacles represents somebody starting on a slow, methodical journey. The Knight of Pentacles is not rushed. The Knight of Pentacles, knights in other decks may tend to dive in headlong. The Knight of Cups tends to wear their heart on their sleeve and go full tilt into romantic entanglements. The Knight of Swords is quick to come with a biting word, quick to try to get to the heart of the issue. The Knight of Wands is quick to just go, period, whatever the action may be. But the Knight of Pentacles is unique in that they are going to take the journey step by step, slow and methodical, building up to something greater. With the Knight of Pentacles reversed here, what I am seeing is that the person who is the recipient of the justice in this scenario, maybe you, maybe the other person we're talking about, but the person who's on the receiving end of the justice is somebody who didn't get off their rear end and start. This is somebody who has procrastinated, delayed, who has avoided responsibility and avoided taking action, taking those first steps. We'll get some more clarifiers to see what else is going on here. So 10 of Pentacles, let's see if we can clarify what kind of setback this is, what kind of hardship we're dealing with. Okay, we have the Hanged One. So here with the Hanged One, I feel like it may be a situation that is not fully within the person's control, whoever it was that is experiencing the setback. With the Hanged One, there is a sense that you are at the mercy of others because you are hanged upside down. You apparently cannot get free, cannot take your fate into your own hands. Um, that can tend to be a sort of self-deceiving attitude with the Hanged One. A lot of times the idea with the Hanged One is you think that you are a victim, that things are not in your control, but you have more power than you think. Um, so in this scenario, the person who's experienced this setback may be believing that they are the victim when the circumstances were more within their control than they believed. Um, tying it back to like the Knight of Pentacles and the lack of action, I feel like there's a scenario here where someone feels like, oh, this terrible thing just happened to me and there was nothing I could do about it. But perhaps there was something that could have been done if they had taken action. Um, because they procrastinated and didn't take, proactive responsibility for what was going on, that allowed this thing to happen. So no, it wasn't necessarily their fault that it happened, but it might have been prevented if they had been a little more engaged in the scenario. And again, I have no idea here if that is you, the listener, or if that is the person on the other side of this that you're wondering what they're thinking of you. Interpret that the way that makes most sense to your situation. I know that it can never be easy to hear these things if that's about you. I hope because you've come to this reading that you're open-minded and you are self-reflective and you're interested in getting to the heart of this. Um, but at the end of the day, these are general readings. Please don't take anything too much to heart. Interpret what I'm saying in the way that makes most sense for your situation. We'll get one more clarifier card to wrap this all up. We will get a clarification on the Six of Swords being reversed, the question of leaving something behind or sticking around. Okay. Our clarifier there is the Queen of Pentacles reversed. Given that we already have the Knight of Pentacles reversed, the Ten of Pentacles reversed, there's a lot of upside down pentacle energy here. And with the Queen, what that tells me is that the situation is very much dependent on whether somebody is going to take responsibility for the material reality of the situation or not. What I mean by that is, the Six of Swords, the should I stay or should I go, that seems to depend largely upon whether the person on the other side of the scenario is going to own up to it, own up to their role in the situation, and start to be proactive in addressing it, or whether they're going to continue to pass blame onto others, whether they're going to continue to stay in a victim mindset. And that's not to say that that person may not be a genuine victim, but sometimes once victimized, once something bad happens to you, it can get really easy to be trapped in that mindset of like, God, these bad things just keep happening to me. It feels just pointless to even try anymore because another bad thing is just going to happen. I get falling into that mindset, and so I'm not trying to be overly harsh on that. But the whole vibe of this reading is that somebody needs to um, begin to take some actions to put things back in order. Um, what that means is going to vary from situation to situation, but getting finances in order, um, taking action to, if you've lost your job, taking action to find a new job, or even just taking the action to get, signed up for unemployment because that's the best you can do right now. Whatever that next step may be, it's important to just start taking those baby steps and show some accountability. And so, if you're on one side of this and you are dealing with, this other person is wondering whether to keep trying with you or to, write you off and let you deal with your own mess. That's the vibe I'm getting overall. Then the answer to that, the way to act on that, the way to prevent that from happening is to start showing some responsibility and just start taking those steps, showing that you understand that there is some action needed on your part. Even if you don't know exactly what that action is, if you don't know where to start, even just taking the steps to ask for help may be the key to resolving this situation. And I would assume if you're worried about what somebody else is thinking about you, that you probably are looking for ways to resolve the situation. So, on that note, I think that, the advice there is to just start taking some baby steps. Don't be too proud to ask for help because that can be a downfall of the Queen of Pentacles. And she is reversed here. So this is kind of the more negative attributes there, which is that, the Queen of Pentacles has her stuff together and she doesn't need help from anyone. She has her ducks in a row. She has everything she needs. She doesn't need to ask for help. But that can be a downfall if that's not entirely accurate. We all need help sometimes, and it can alienate those around you who want to help you during difficult times if you don't let them. So that would be my advice there is let people in, ask for help, and take the advice they're offering, take the solutions they're offering, and start to act. I hope that that answered the question that you had in mind of what are they thinking of you. If you came here with, a question about a romantic entanglement, I think you might want to go back to the beginning and see if another deck has a more applicable reading for you. Because this really feels like more of a family friend, maybe even a work situation. But I hope this was helpful. Please leave me a comment and let me know if this was on base, way off base. Just let me know what you think because I'd really appreciate knowing. And with that, I will move on to the next reading. Thank you for being here, and I hope to see you again. Welcome to reading number 2, our Dali Tarot deck. I have gone ahead and pre-shuffled so we can get right into our question. What are they thinking about you? I'm going to cut our deck and go ahead and get us 3 cards to start with as usual, and we'll draw clarifiers as need be. So let's get a picture of what's going on here. Okay. All right, so at a glance, we have the 7 of Wands reversed, the High Priestess reversed, and the King of Wands reversed. So in the context of what are they thinking of you, with the 7 of Wands, what we have is a chaotic situation. It's a lot of wands, and that can be said of a lot of the higher level wands cards. There's just a lot going on. With the 7 of Wands in particular, the number 7 in numerology is related a lot to the idea of a kind of a karmic journey. It can be kind of a solo number. It is a slightly imbalanced number, but not not to the extremes of some others. And so sevens are kind of strange. With the 7 of Wands in particular, what I think we have going on here is that somebody has taken it upon themselves to do things on their own and has not necessarily consulted or collaborated with others before doing so, and that has led to some conflict. With the High Priestess reversed here, the High Priestess is a card of institutional wisdom, which sounds almost like an oxymoron, but the High Priestess is the card that is associated with like ancient knowledge passed down from one generation to another. It is a card of a combination of intuition and tradition. With the High Priestess reversed, someone is thinking about you that you are a little out of step with one of those things. Maybe you are not following along with the traditions. Maybe you are doing so in a way that is maybe a little counterintuitive. Maybe so something you're doing is perhaps rubbing someone the wrong way because they would prefer that you stick to tradition or listen to their insight, and in not doing so, we've got a little bit of friction. Finally, with the King of Wands reversed, I'm going to go out on a limb here, just based on my own intuition, and say that the King of Wands is perhaps reflective of you, the questioner here. I think the perception of you based on the King of Wands reversed is that you are just going out willy-nilly doing whatever the heck you want without regard for consequences or the impact on others. Um, I'm sorry that it's not a happier reading if that's what you were hoping for, but what I can do here is get some clarifiers to figure out what it is that's going on. So for our first card, the 7 of Wands, I want to see if the deck will give me an idea of what kind of situation we're dealing with here. What arena was this thing in that caused this friction when you went out on your own and did your own thing? The 5 of Swords. Okay. I'm laughing to myself because that's not particularly helpful. The 5 of Swords is also a card of conflict. It is a card of so much conflict that it's hard to tell what's what. Um, with the 5 of Swords, what you have is so many different competing ideas, interests, personalities that 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 conflict is sort of impossible to avoid. So what I'm getting from this is whatever it was that you did, and my reading of the 7 of Wands reversed was that perhaps you kind of went rogue and did your own thing and other people aren't happy about that. What I'm getting from the 5 of Swords is that pissing someone off may have been inevitable. And so you were kind of in a lose-lose situation where no matter what you did, somebody was going to be upset. So that sucks, and I'm sorry. Let's get some clarity on the High Priestess reversed. What is it that has really rubbed someone the wrong way here? What's the tradition or the conventional wisdom that has been kind of overturned here? Okay, we have the 7 of Coins. All right, so with Pentacles coins, we are dealing with the material realm. This could be financial. This could have to do with work, career. This could have to do with, choices you're making for your family, choices about, where to live, where to send your kids to school, maybe like all those kinds of nuts and bolts, day to day kind of decisions fall into the realm of Pentacles. Um, With the Seven of Pentacles here, what I see is that we've got another seven here. So again, this is an an area where you kind of made a choice on your own and did what you felt you had to do. So some kind of decision that you've made. Maybe it was a decision to move away from the family. Maybe it was a decision to leave the family business, or you come from a long line of lawyers and you decided to be an artist. Like those kinds of things would fall within the realm of this reading. But it could be a lot of things. It could be, um, you decided to send your kids to a Lutheran preschool and your family's Methodist. There could be all kinds of things going on here. But for your situation, I assume that you know what that is. But so something that you chose for you or your family has rubbed perhaps others in the family or your friend group, or you know um, perhaps even a partner has rubbed them the wrong way. They wanted to stick with a more traditional route, or they wanted to do something that made more sense by their idea of conventional wisdom. I very much get the sense of like a concerned and disappointed parent here. It doesn't mean that this is a parent situation necessarily, but that's the kind of energy I'm picking up. You know, to give an example from my life, um, my mom has long since passed, and my dad is kind of off doing his own thing. But I get this energy a lot from my husband because he's like such a Cancer, and he's got big Capricorn energy in his chart too. So he's like mom and dad at the same time in his energy. And, sometimes when I make choices that he disagrees with, I get that big, like, I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed energy from him. And it can be a lot. So, I could see a scenario like that for you too, where maybe this is a romantic partner, but they're giving you that energy right now. Let's get one more clarifier on the King of Wands. Um, you know, how can we approach this to start to resolve some of the friction and get back on better footing? Okay. Ace of Wands. So what I'm getting from that, the Ace of Wands is a beginning. It's a new start. It is a fresh idea, a moment of pure inspiration. It's that it's the starting line of the race. In connection with the King of Wands reversed, what I'm getting in terms of advice here is maybe try going back to this person and saying, on the next decision that needs to be made, or if there's a way to revisit this decision, kind of go back to that starting point with this person and get their input from the beginning. Because, and this is just me pulling stuff from intuition, or if you want to call it, just out of thin air, that would probably be fair too. Um, but the sense I'm getting here is that the problem this person has is not so much what you did, but how you did it. It's the fact that you went out on your own and you didn't consult them. You didn't give them the chance to say their piece. You didn't consult their advice. You didn't bring them in on the decision at all. And so I think the way to repair this relationship and get it moving back in the right direction is to say, own up to it if you feel like there's something to own up to. uh, Explain it if you feel like it needs explanation, but then say, going forward, this is what I want to do, and I want you to be a part of it. Or, going forward, I'm thinking about this. I'd like to know what you think about it. Sometimes just opening that door crack to give them some input can be a way to reopen the communication in the relationship. And that's assuming that you want to. This may be a situation where you feel completely justified in what you did, and you're just like, if they can't see why I had to do it, and if they feel like they need to have a say in my life, I can't give them that, and we're just done. That's up to you and your read of the situation. But if you want to repair the relationship, then getting them involved at the beginning point of something would be a good idea. If you don't want to repair the relationship, if you're just like, I'm done, then I feel like the Ace of Wands is a signal to follow your instincts, follow your passion and drive, and go the way that you believe is right. With that, I think this is definitely a more straightforward reading than batch number one. But I'd love to hear what you think about it. Please leave me a comment and let me know if this was right on target, if it was way off base. I'd love to know either way, because I'm always trying to get better and have these be actually helpful to someone. That's the end goal. But with that, I'm going to move on to the next reading. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you again. Welcome to deck number 3, the Skyrim Tarot deck. This is your reading for What Are They Thinking About You? I've gone ahead and pre-shuffled this deck, so we're just going to cut it and get right into it. I will draw 3 cards to start with, as is my usual practice, and then we will move into clarifiers as needed. And let's face it, I'll probably just do clarifiers no matter what, because I can't help myself. Let me get these set up on screen as nice as I can. All right. Okay. All right. So what are they thinking about you? All right. The 10 of lockpicks. The 10 of lockpicks is the equivalent to the 10 of coins. And I always struggle to remember that because the lockpicks always have like dagger looking things on them. And I'm like, oh, swords. It's not. It's coins in this deck because the lockpicks are associated with the Thieves Guild in Skyrim and they are all about the money. So, but 10 of coins to start off with. The 10 of coins is all about reaching the pinnacle of success. It is, you have set yourself up not just for your lifetime, but for the next generation. Like if we're talking about actual, financial wealth, that would be the kind of status. That doesn't mean that's what this card is talking about. It could be that you've reached, a pinnacle in your career. You have, created something that is going to last for a long time. You've built something. Whether that is a business empire or, just a really solid community, whatever feels like, if you've reached this level of success, I suspect that you know what area that is in. So uh, the person that we're talking about, what do they think of you? They recognize that. Or they perceive you that way, even if you don't feel that way. So, you may feel like, God, I am just slogging along and I am, not meeting my goals. I'm not getting where I want to be. I feel like I've never done enough. Well, this person thinks you have, and they think you're a success story. Next card up, the King of Voice. Voice in this deck is going to be our cups, that emotion, intuition. With the King of Voice coming in and the Queen of Voice coming in, you have pulled both the King and the Queen of Cups. What this tells me is that the person that we're talking about sees you as just so emotionally mature. Like you are balanced out. You have got it together. And you are the perfect balance of reason and compassion. You are able to be a source of empathy and love and kindness, but at the same time you're not going to be taken advantage of. You're not going to be played for a fool by somebody who's preying on your emotions. You are just, you've got it together. So, whoever this person is that you're asking about, they think you're like the shit. They think that you have got it together in multiple areas of life. They think that you are someone um, who can be counted on and looked up to. I don't even know if we need clarifiers for this because I can't imagine much better of a reading, but let's get some clarification to see if we can add anything to our 10 of coins here. What are they perceiving there? Okay. Ace of voice. So that's again our ace of cups. The ace of cups is like that fountain of love just out there in the universe. With the ace of voice, I think that they see that you have tapped into that in order to build whatever it is that you have created. Um, I'm getting with all of these cups, it's reminding me of my grandmother. Not that you are a grandmother or that they're perceiving you like a grandmother, but my grandma had like a grand water trine in her astrology chart. We can get into that when I start doing astrology videos. But she was that perfect matriarch. Like everyone who met her wanted her to be their mom, their grandma, their aunt. They just got that energy from her. And she, built, not only her own family and held them together, but she also knew everyone in town. I used to say, like, grandma, we could go to China and you would find someone you know. That not that China's just very far away from us. That's the only thing I'm getting at there. We're from Kansas. So like we could go from Kansas to China and my grandma would still find someone she knew without having ever been to China before. Like, that was how much my grandma built connections with people wherever she went. And so I think what I'm getting here is that, like, you've built a real community, um, a real network of people around you, a real network of support. Um, that could be that you have a ton of people who you've interacted with who would, come to your aid if need be. It could be that you have, you know, brought together a group of friends. There's a lot of different ways this could play out. It could be that you've built a beautiful family. Whatever the case is for your situation though, they recognize that you have tapped into just a that sort of fountain of love out there in the universe, and you spread that wherever you go, and that is what enabled you to be such a success. With the king of voice, we have the six of arms reversed, so that's our six of swords reversed. With the six of swords reversed, that's an interesting one to come up here because the six of swords is a card about leaving something behind, moving away from something that no longer serves you. Um, with this reversed, there's a hesitation there. There's something keeping you from doing that. You're holding on to something that no longer serves you instead of moving away from it. I think this person thinks that there may be something that is holding you back. Um, because of your empathy and compassion, there may be things that you are having a hard time letting go of because you have such a hard time writing anybody off or calling it quits on someone. It's probably a someone because, I mean, it could be like something like a pet or an object that you feel really sentimental about. But in terms of leaving something behind that no longer serves you, it's probably a place like you don't want to leave your hometown, or it is a job. You don't want to leave that job behind because you're so close to all of your coworkers and you've built all these great relationships. But this person is perceiving you as maybe being held back slightly by something that you're not willing to let go of. And finally, for the Queen of Voice, we have the Ten of Spells. That is the Ten of Wands. So the Ten of Wands is a card that signifies nearing or reaching completion of a task or a journey or, a project. Something is nearing its end. I think this person perceives you as being close to or at the moment of achieving a goal, completing a cycle, completing a chapter of your life. And this may tie back into this, Six of Swords. They may feel like, you've done as much good as you can in whatever scenario you're in, and it's time for you to realize that this chapter of your life is probably needs to come to a close. um, that doesn't mean you have to make a radical change. It just means that, it's time to consider a new goal, a new way to grow, an, a new milestone, a new goal. I said it already, a new goal. Um, maybe you've hit a point in your job where you are just like top notch at it, nothing else for you to learn. You are training everybody else on how to do it, and you are not interested in pursuing other opportunities because you are afraid of leaving people behind. Um, or you are, you've built this, amazing community of friends, and you have, really established connections that are going to last a lifetime, but you're holding back on, going into something new. Maybe it means moving for a job, or having to not be as available to them because you would need to change your schedule, something like that. um the sense there is that, like, you know sh- these people aren't going to leave you just because you move on to something new, because the way this person is perceiving you is like, yeah, you've hit it, you've hit that success, you've met all of your goals, you have been good to everyone around you, you have built community, you have solidified these relationships, and it's okay to let go of the things surrounding those relationships. You're not necessarily going to let go of those relationships just because you let go of a job, an apartment, a hobby. Those people are still going to be there for you. So that went a direction. At first I thought like maybe this was more of the romantic reading for people who are wondering how that person might see them. And it could still be that somebody is like, hey, you are, amazing. I'd love to be with you. My only concern is that you're going to, feel like you can't be with me because your friends would freak out. Like, maybe you're afraid to jump into a relationship because you don't want to, you don't want the people around you to feel like you don't have time for them anymore. Or, there's so many possibilities for how this could be. But overall, what I'm getting from this is this person sees you as having reached a real pinnacle of success, and they think that you are holding back on going for more, you're resisting, walking away from something even though it's nearing its completion, um, because of maybe sentimental reasons or unfounded fears. I think that just about wraps up this reading. Please let me know in the comments if you felt like it was on target, if it was way off. I'd love to know either way so that I can keep getting better and hopefully have helpful readings for people. But with that, I'm going to move on to our final reading. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you again. Welcome to deck number 4, Grimalkin's Curious Cats Tarot. We are diving into the question, what do they think about you? And if you chose the cat deck because you want to know what your cat thinks about you, I'm here for it too. No judgment. But this could be any kind of relationship. I have already gone ahead and pre-shuffled, so we're just going to cut the deck and draw our first 3 cards. I'll do 3 cards to start with, and then we will get clarifiers as we need them. Okay, so what do they think about you? All right, our first card, 5 of Swords. The 5 of Swords is a card of conflict, inevitable conflict, as one might expect between a cat and a dog. There is, there are a lot of things that tie into this card. With this deck in particular, I'm always reminded of the concept of um, of maybe passing blame or scapegoating, trying to make it look like the other party started it when really, you were the one who kicked it off. Not saying that's the situation here, but there's something going on. There's a conflict going on. We've got maybe this is a situation where this person is thinking that you started some stuff. But they could also think that you are, surrounded by backstabbers and you're doing your best. So we'll dig into more of that as we get through the other cards to see how they kind of add to this situation. With the 9 of Wands reversed, we have a scenario where the 9 of Wands is a card of just overwhelm, pure overwhelm. There's too much going on. There's too much chaotic energy. It's too hard to follow. With the 9 of Wands reversed, what I'm picking up here is that this person may perceive you as being a victim of circumstances, that they may just perceive you as being really overwhelmed right now. It could be overworked, just have a lot of different things going on in your life. But they are perceiving you as perhaps as a victim here, but also perhaps as somebody playing up being the victim. That's another possibility. Finally, with the Strength card, with this coming in, I think that this is more a situation where they are perceiving you as somebody who is more a victim of circumstances, because with the Strength card here, what I see is that they believe in you. They believe that you are a strong individual who is capable of getting through the tough times, somebody who is capable of endurance. With the Strength card, there's always an idea of sort of soft strength, of being able to tame greater forces than one would think you were capable of. In a lot of cards, the strength, in a lot of decks, I should say, the Strength card has kind of a lion taming aspect to it. But in this deck, we have, a much smaller cat sort of keeping this wolf at bay with a simple paw. And so there's this idea of like you're stronger than you know, and this person believes that you're stronger than you know. And maybe they are perceiving that you are not recognizing your full strength, but they believe in you. They believe it's there. So from the beginning of this, it was kind of like, maybe they're seeing you as the antagonizer. Maybe they're seeing you as playing the victim. I don't think so. I think that they genuinely believe that, whatever the conflict that you may be involved in, it's not necessarily of your own making. It's not something that you started. And they don't seem to believe that um, that you are um, only pretending to be overwhelmed by the circumstances. I think they see that you are probably genuinely overwhelmed. But I've done clarifiers on everyone else, so let's get some clarifiers on these, get some ideas about what these mean. So maybe we can get some more insight onto whatever this Five of Swords situation is. Okay, we have the Three of Wands on that one. The Three of Wands is a card of preparing, of starting a journey, of kind of, it's always a card where somebody's looking out over the horizon and getting ready to start going. The Three of Wands, threes are always cards of collaboration. So this could be related to trying to begin a collaborative project and maybe having some conflict and disagreements at the beginning of it. This may be a situation where, there's like three people that have entered into a partnership of some kind, and there's been a conflict between two of those people, and now we're asking, how does the third person perceive it? I could see that being the case here. Um, with the Three of Wands, what I'm getting is that we were at the start of something. We were planning something. We were preparing to do something. It could be, anything from we were getting ready to go on a road trip to we were getting ready to start a business together. We had decided to be a throuple. Anything could be happening here. But whatever it is, something was getting underway, and that's when the conflict arose. Let's take a deeper look at the Nine of Wands reversed. And this poor damp cat makes me so sad. Okay, the Death card reversed. This card makes me so sad. When you combine death with cats, it's just so hard to look at. But that's my issue. The Death card is a card about the cycle of endings and beginnings. It's not necessarily, it gets a bad rap. But with it reversed here, I see maybe there is a bit of a resistance to the inevitable end. There is an idea that this thing can still be revived. This thing is not over yet. We can still figure something out. I think whatever the thing we were planning here and ran into a conflict, there's maybe still you may still be hoping that there is a way out of it, that there is a solution, that there is a way to keep this thing going, to bring it back to life, to that the idea, the thing that you were trying to do is not just dead. I think so in terms of how this other person is perceiving you, I think they are seeing you as being resistant to something that is inevitable. I think this person thinks that whatever was going on, it's done, it's over. Whatever hopes that there were for something to get going, it's gone now. They think this thing is over, and they think that you are resisting that in denial, um, or whatever other stage of grief you want to go with. It might be denial, it might be bargaining, it might be you're in a bit of a depression about it. Um, but they see you as not accepting the end yet. And let's go get one final clarifier on strength. What is the strength that they see in you? Okay. So we have the Hanged Man reversed. The Hanged Man is a card of kind of being stuck. You are stuck, hanging upside down, but in that position, you also have a unique perspective. And I think with this card reversed here, um, what they appreciate about you, what they see as your strength, is that you are capable of getting out of these sticky situations. You are capable of getting unstuck, but you also are able to take the perspective from those situations and learn from it. I think they see you as someone um, who can go through a bad situation and come out better for it, who can, go through a tough time, have things taken out of your control, but you're going to bounce back. So that's how they see you as strong. They think that something happened here. It wasn't ideal. It wasn't necessarily your fault. Um, you may be still trying to work it out, find a solution. They don't necessarily think that a solution is possible, but they do believe that you are strong enough to get through it and come out better for it on the other side. So, whatever the situation is behind this reading, I hope that it resolves itself for you. And I hope that this gives you some comfort that at least the person you're thinking of, isn't blaming you or trying to pin things on you, because that's kind of the sense I was getting at first from the cards. And maybe that's because that's what the concern is here. I would appreciate it if you'd leave me a comment. Let me know if you think that this reading is right on target, if it's way off base. Your feedback helps me get better and and be more helpful to people with these readings, hopefully. But regardless, whether you comment or not, I appreciate you being here. Thank you, and I hope to see you next time.